Hey there, everybody. Robert Taylor with Wonderscape Creations, continuing on with our PCG tutorial series. Uh, Continuing on specifically with getting more of this exposed so that we have more than just these two parameters here. By the end of it, we're going to have a lot of control. I mean, a lot of control. It's going to be great. So let's go ahead and hop back into our graph. Once I find it, here we go. So the first thing we are going to mess with is slope. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here to the steepest of slopes that's over here. Oh, there's one other thing we're going to hit before we do slope. As you can see right now, everything is going underground, literally. And that's okay. We're going to go ahead and change that right now so that we don't have to worry about that in the future. It's actually very, extremely crazy easy. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to right click and type get landscape data. I'm going to drag this out. And we're going to get projection. Plug that back into here. Right now, nothing is working because it's waiting for something to project. And what we are going to want to do is just place that there. Like that. Now, no matter how low or how high, it is going to place the meshes on our landscape. Isn't that nice? All right. So the next thing we are going to do is determine the slope stuff. Okay, here's a good sharp slope right there. Let's get this right over here so that it's easy to see and control. Now we are going to, for these, after the projection, the order doesn't particularly matter for something like this, but it could wind up helping. So actually we'll put it at the end here. We are going to want normal to density. I'm going to hold down control to drag this out into here. As you'll see right now, nothing has changed, and that's to be expected. This is one of those nodes where we decide what we want, play around with these to see what they do, along with the strengths and the offsets. That way you can do exactly what you want. And then we want to get another density filter. So I'm just going to copy and paste this one. Again, I'm going to hold down the control to place that here. And again, we don't see any changes yet. And that's, again, to be expected. Now, if I were to put this at, say, 0.9, look at that. It's all it took. And we now have the sharper angles and slopes taken care of. You can, again, adjust this however you see fit to ensure that everything is set up exactly how you would like. All right. So the next thing we will hit on is the Z offset and the scale that are here in the data table. We currently cannot use them. Well, we can. We just currently are not using them, is what I should say. So let's go ahead and grab these handy dandy 3 nodes and pull them over here to the left. It's the only way it'll work. Now, if we drag out of here, out of the match and set attributes, and we type in add, we're going to put both A and B in here. And you may think, well, why? Well, there's a very, very good reason. So remember, if we hit A, no, yeah, that's right, need just like this. We have the position, we have the scale, the boundaries, rotation, position, and it's got .z, .y, everything. So the first thing we're going to want to do is add. We're going to find position. Then at the end of it, period, uppercase Z. Next thing, input source 2. So we need to find our Z offset. Technically, we could leave it at last, but we don't. If we wind up adding anything, it could mess with it. So we're just going to name this Z offset. Go. And I'm going to disconnect that. Place it back in here. We won't see any changes as of yet because we need to go into the data asset here. Now let's go ahead to this tree here. We're going to make this 50. That. We now have control over it. And sometimes you will need control over that. And there's just no helping it. And it's okay. It's better to have it not need it than to need it not have it. So now it's placed. Now to get the scale. And we're going to be doing the scale the exact same way. Go ahead and disconnect that. We're going to get a multiply this time. Plug them into each other here. And we want the scale. And we want scale. So number sign scale and scale. Here we go. Again, we come over here. We now have full control over the size of it. Now you may be wondering, well, what about the randomization? We really want things to be randomized. Fantastic. Good point. So let's go ahead and do that. Back into here. We're going to drag this out like this because we've got several more things to do. First, let's go ahead and disconnect that. I'm going to pull out transform points. Now this node is a biggie. As you can see, there's a whole bunch here. Lots here. And if we do if we mess with any of these, so if I were to come over here to rotation max and name it 360, they've all been rotated. Fantastic. Then we can change this to 0.5 and then 1.2. And we can change the offset a little bit, but we're not going to because it doesn't really matter for this. Rotation 30. Yeah, see, that's a little on the ridiculous side. So 10. No, we want to do negative 10. Negative 10. 10. And 10. Look at that. We now have a pretty crazy forest. Obviously, things aren't this extreme. Like right now, everything's going along the normal of the trees. We will definitely hit that right now. And that is done here with the absolute rotation. Now, we're not going to see much of a change because of everything we did here. So let's go ahead and put this back. Now, if we check mark this, the absolute rotation, you can see now everything's perfectly straight. Everything's leaning according to the landscape. So naturally, let's place that back how it was. 360. I'm not going to go as crazy this time. We'll go with -5, -5. No, not 50. And 5 and 5. There we go. A very natural looking, well, semi-natural looking forest. So you may be wondering, well, I want to have control of that stuff out here in the blueprint. Can I? Well, of course you can. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we're going to go ahead and make a whole bunch of variables. So let's go into our blueprint. And I want to make sure we have this done correctly here. First thing we're going to want to do, we're going to hit the plus icon here, and we're going to do the, sorry, min scale. And we want to make sure that it is a float file. We're going to say 0.2 because we want to see it. Now we're going to name this one max scale. And just to be crazy again, 5. So we compile and save. Make sure they are exposed and ready to go. And if we come back in here into the graph, our handy dandy get actor property. So we have the offset not the offset, the scale min and the scale max. So we want to make sure that we name these correctly. And we did max scale and min scale. So we will name this one min scale. Copy and paste. This one max scale. So now we'll put this in scale min and scale max. Look at that. And then 5. Just wanted to make sure you guys understood how well it worked. Just wanted to make sure that we hit that one right on the head. So I'm going to change these back here in the blueprint to something more reasonable. Go. And we've got a few more variables to make, but before we do that, I want to organize this a bit because it's a little unwieldy. So the first thing I'm going to do is here under actor data table for default, I'm just going to put the number 1 with a dash, and I will just call it data table. And then for these, they are going to be 3 because there's something that's going to be in between it when we're done. So 3 dash and general variables. We're going to go ahead and just drag these in there just like this. Compile. There we go. It's interesting. Why did you? That's why. So we're going to put a space bar in between this general and variable. Space bar space. Compile. There we go. Now we have all 3 of them in the same spot. So let's go ahead and get the rest of these variables set up so that we have complete control over everything. Plus sign here. This one is going to be min rotation. And we want this one to be a rotator. Make sure it's exposed. And then I'm going to, just hit duplicate. We want a max rotation. Get another rotator. Compile. I'm going to keep them at 0. No reason to change them now. And then I need to make a min offset. This is a vector. Make sure it's exposed. Duplicate it. Max offset. File and save. So now we want to place these in the general variable section. Great. Now let's come back in here. Well, let's hit compile and save so we don't have to worry about anything. Back in here to this. Copy, paste, copy, paste. All right. It looks like we have the offset first. So I'm going to change these offset. There we go. And then this is, what did I name it? Did I name it rotation? Yes. All right. As you can see, all the trees went back to how they were. And sorry. And then as you can see here, you can completely and control everything how you want. So you can add all of these to it if you wanted to. It's definitely something that you can do. Let's go ahead and hit save. We're going to come in here to the min rotation, -5, -5, 5, 5, 360. All right. So there we go. We are done with the next portion of our video for this portion of the series. In the next one, we will get this whole thing set up to work with paint layers. This is not procedural stuff. This is just from what you paint. The procedural stuff will come later. It is considerably more expensive, so it's something that you have to decide on whether you want or not. All right. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and if you're willing and able, go ahead and donate to my Patreon or buy me a coffee. Have a great day.